In our next video, we're going to pretty much tie everything together. It says identifying and graphing conic sections. So we're going to do everything from the chapter, put it all together. We're going to use the discriminant to determine the type of conic, and then we're going to write the equation in standard form and graph. So let me zoom in here. Let's start with our discriminant. Number one, again, our discriminant, there's no xy term, so you have 0 minus 4 times a, which is 4, times c, which is 49. When you multiply that together, that gives you negative 784. If your discriminant is less than 0, you have either a circle or an ellipse. Then you go back and look at A and C. If they're the same, it's a circle. If they're different, as in this case, then we should have an ellipse. Now let's write this thing in standard form. Here's how you do it. Group all your x stuff together, group all your y stuff. So let's start with 4x squared. Let's go ahead and put our minus 8x with it. Skip a space. Then you're going to write your plus 49y squared and put your other y stuff with it. So plus 196y. Skip a space. Let's move our 4 to the other side, so equals negative 4. Next step, we're going to factor out. If there's anything in front of x squared and y squared, we factor it. So factor out the 4. You're left with x squared minus 2x and leave that space. The 49 in front of the y squared, we're going to factor it out and leave it as 49 plus, that's going to be 4y. Leave a space, equals negative 4. Next step, you complete the square. Half it, square it, you're going to add 1. However, there's a 4 out front, so on the other side, make sure you add 4. Half it, square it, we're going to add a 4 here. However, there's a 49 out front, so we're going to add 49 times 4, which was 196. Now we're nearly finished. Bring down the 4, factor. This factors into x times itself, should be a perfect square, and then whatever half of this is, squared. Bring down the 49, and let's factor the other one. It factors into y plus 2 squared equals 196. We've nearly got it in the right form. You have 3 terms. We need equals 1, so we're going to divide them all by 196. Now, they give you nice and neat problems to where these reduce real nice. So that reduces to a 1 and a 49. This reduces to a 1 and a 4, and this reduces to 1. So my standard form is going to be x minus 1 squared over 49 plus y plus 2 squared over 4 is equal to 1. There's your standard form. Let's go ahead and graph it. First thing we need is a center. Our center is right 1, down 2, so that's going to be at 1, negative 2, which is right here. We're going to take our a and b values. Our a, notice our a squared is under the x, that's 49, so that means that a is 7. Our b squared is under the y, which is 4, so that means that b is 2. So in the x direction, we're going to go right 7 and left 7. And those are going to be the endpoints of the major axis. Then we're going to go up 2 and down 2. That's going to be the endpoints of the minor axis. And then let's connect our dot. And there's your ellipse. Number 2. Let me switch tools there. Number 2, let's go ahead and do our discriminant. B squared is 0 minus 4 times A is whatever's in front of x squared, which is 0, and C is 1. That discriminant is equal to 0, so therefore we have a parabola. But again, that's very easy to notice anyway because you have a y squared but no x squared. So the way we're going to get that in standard form, leave y squared. Leave your negative 6y with it, but everything else move to the other side. So you have 4x plus 19 on the other side. Again, let's complete our square by adding 9. So let's add 9 to both sides. When you factor that now, it gives you y minus 3 squared equals 4x plus 28. We can now move the 28 back over, and that gives me y minus 3 squared minus 28 equals 4x. Now let's divide both terms by 4. And the way I'm going to do that is by multiplying this by 1/4 and dividing this by 4. So therefore, my x value is equal to 1/4 y minus 3 squared minus 7. There's my standard form. So now let's try to graph it. First thing we need to identify is our vertex. This minus 7 right here, since it's an x equal, is going to move your graph left 7. This minus 3 on the y does backwards and moves it up 3. So left 7 and up 3. So there's my vertex at negative 7, positive 3. Now let's go ahead and find a p-value. The way that we find a p-value is to set this equal to 1 over 4p, and that will give you a p-value of 1. Since it is a positive, that means that your focus is going to be to the right, means your directrix is going to be to the left. Another something you can do is you can find the endpoints of your lattice rectum. The lattice rectum has a length of 4p, which is going to equal 4. That's going to be the length. So you're going to go up to, above your focus, down to, below your focus, connect your dots, and there is a sketch of your parabola. The next one. Number 3, b squared is 0 minus 4 times a is 9 and c is negative 1. That's going to give you a value of 36. So this must be a hyperbola. So we're going to do this the same way we did the ellipse. Let's leave all of our x stuff together. So you have 9x squared plus 72x. Leave a space. A negative y squared with the negative 4y. Leave a space. And all the constants get moved to the other side, so equals negative 131. Next thing we're going to do, if there's a number in front of x squared and y squared, we factor it. So 9 times x squared plus 8x, leave that same space. Factor out the negative and you're left with y squared plus 4y. Leave a space to complete the square, equals negative 131. Now let's go ahead and complete that square. Half it, square it, that's going to be a plus 16. 9 times 16 is added to that side, so let's add the 144 to the other side as well. Half it, square it, we're going to add a 4 in parentheses. However, the minus out front actually added a negative 4 to that side, so make sure we add a negative 4 to the other side as well. Bring down the 9, factor. That's going to be x plus 4 squared. Bring down the negative, factor. That's going to be y plus 2 squared is equal to 144 minus 131 is 13 minus 4 is 9. The last step, let's take every term and divide it by that 9 so that we can get equals 1 on the other side. These cancel completely, leaves you with a 1 on bottom. So you have x plus 4 squared over 1 minus y plus 2 squared over 9 is equal to 1. There's your standard form. The center of that hyperbola is going to get moved left 4 and down 2. So let's go ahead and plot that. Since the x squared stuff is listed first, then this is going to be a horizontal hyperbola. So let's go ahead and take our a value, which this is our a squared and this is our b squared. So our a value is going to be 1 and our b value is going to be 3. The a value again is under the x stuff. So we're going to go in the x direction, right 1 and left 1 from our center. The b value is under the y, so we're going to go up 3 and we're going to go down 3 from our center. Connect the dots to form a box. That box is going to be our guide to graphing this hyperbola. We connect the corners, and that's going to give us some asymptote lines. And then once we have our asymptote lines, we can use our vertex, and we can graph our parabola. Let's just connect, follow those asymptote lines, and that gives you a sketch of kind of what that hyperbola looks like. Again, we can always plug in points to get more exact look for that graph, but that's a good sketch of it. Okay, next up, number 4, b squared minus 4ac. b squared is 0 minus 4 times a times c. It gives you a value of negative 4 for the discriminant. If the discriminant is less than 0, it's either an ellipse or a circle. Since a squared and c squared are the same, or excuse me, since a and c are the same, then you have a circle. Do the same thing. Let's group our x stuff. All you have is x squared. Group your y stuff. You have y squared minus 2y. Move the constant to the other side. Let's complete our square. Half it squared. You're going to add 1 to both sides. This does not factor. It's done. This second set right here, let's factor it. That factors into y minus 1 squared equals 36. So therefore, you have a circle that's been shifted left or right 0 and then up 1. So 0, 1 is going to be the center. And this over here, this 36 is equal to r squared. So you're going to have a radius of 6. So from that center, we're going to go up, down, left, and right 6 units. And then we're simply going to connect our dots, and there's our circle. Okay, the next one. B squared minus 4ac first. So b squared is 0 minus 4 times a is 1. So that's going to be 4 times 1 times c. Notice there's no c term. There's no y squared term. So therefore, my discriminant is 0. That's going to be a parabola. Again, the giveaway is you have x squared but no y squared. So let's group our x squared stuff together. X squared minus 2x. Move everything else to the other side. So you have negative 12y and a positive 95 on the other side. Let's complete our square. Half it squared, add it to both sides. So we're going to add a 1 to both sides. Now let's factor. This factors into x minus 1 squared equals negative 12y plus 96. Let's move our 96 back over. So you now have x minus 1 squared minus 96 is negative 12y. Let's divide both terms by negative 12. Do so by multiplying the first by negative 1/12, and you can actually divide the second one. And you're going to get y is equal to negative 1/12 x minus 1 squared plus 8. So there's your standard form. Your vertex of this parabola has been moved right 1 and up 8. So let's go ahead and graph that first. Right 1 and up 8 carries you to right here at 1, 8. Next thing that I would like to do is determine if it's up and down. Since it's x squared, it's going to be either up and down. It's going to be a vertical parabola. Since the first term is negative, it's going to cup down. It's going to look like this. Let's find our p-value. Find it by setting 1 over 4p equal to negative 1/12, and you find out that p is negative 3. So therefore, my focus is going to be located 3 units down from there. The length of the lattice rectum will be 4 times this, which would be 12. So you can go 6 on each side of your focus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 6 on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's going to give you more points on your parabola. So your parabola will look something like this. Let's try again. There you go. Okay, the next one, again, b squared is 0 minus 4 times 1 times 1. So my discriminant is negative 4. So therefore, since it's a negative, that means I have either an ellipse or a circle. Since these are the same, then this must be a circle. So let's group our x stuff together. X squared minus 8x, leave a space. Group your y stuff together, plus y squared plus 10y, leave a space. Move the constant to the other side. That would be equals negative 32. Complete the square. Half it, square it, add 16. Make sure you do it to both sides. Half it, square it, 25. Again, add it to both sides. Now let's factor. This factors into x minus 4 times itself plus y plus 5 times itself equals 9. So therefore, you have a circle that's been shifted right 4, down 5. So let's plot that point. And there it is at 4, negative 5. This is the value r squared. So that means my radius is 3. So let's go 3 in every direction. And then once we connect our dots, we'll have our circle. And there it is. Okay, next up. Let's see what we have here. Number 7, b squared minus 4 times a is negative 16 times c is 4. That's going to be 64 times 4, 256. Since it's greater than 0, then this is a hyperbola. Let's group all of our stuff together. You have negative 16x squared, a positive 64x, skip a space, plus 4y squared. That's the only y stuff, and then equals 128 on the other side. Anything in front of x squared and y squared does have to be factored out, so you're left with x squared minus 4x, leave a space. The 4, you can think of it as factoring out, but it's really, you didn't do anything there, equals 128. Complete your square, half it, square it, you're going to add 4. You actually added negative 16 times 4, which is a negative 64. Let's now factor it. Bring down negative 16. This factors into x minus 2 squared plus 4y squared equals 64. For a hyperbola, this needs to equal 1. So let's divide every term by that 64 to get our 1 over there. And that would be about it. Now, I do want to point out that your negative term is here. So I would list it second. 4 and 64 reduces to 1 and 16. 16 and 64 reduces to a 1 and a 4, and this reduces to 1. So I'm going to list my y stuff first. You have y squared over 16 minus x minus 2 squared over 4 is equal to 1. There's your standard form. And again, notice I listed my y stuff first. Since it's a hyperbola, the y stuff listed first, then this is going to be a vertical hyperbola, which means it's going to cup up and down. So the way we're going to graph it, first find your center. It's been shifted right 2 and up 0. So here's your center. Let's find our a and b values. Your a value is right here is 4. Your b squared value is right here is 2. Since your a value is underneath the y, that means that you're going to go up and down 4. So go up 4 and go down 4. Since your 2 or your 4 is under the x stuff, your b value is under the x, that means you're going to go right 2 and you're going to go left 2, and we're going to draw our box. And there it is. Again, we're going to connect the corner of our boxes or of our box, and that's going to give us our asymptote lines. And there's your asymptote lines. And again, since this is a vertical hyperbola, now all we have to do is start at our vertex here and sketch it that way. Follow the asymptote lines, and your hyperbola would look something like that. And the last one. B squared minus 4ac would be 0 minus 4 times 36, which is A, times 25, which is B. That's going to give us a discriminant of negative 3600. Since your discriminant is negative, then it's either an ellipse or a circle. Since A and B are different, then we have another ellipse. Let's group our x's and y's. So you have 36 x squared, group it with plus 216x, leave a space, plus 25y squared, group it with negative 50y, and again, leave a space. Move the 551 to the other side. Let's factor first. Anytime there's a number in front, it does have to be factored out. So 36 parentheses, x squared plus 6x, close parentheses, leave a space. 25 y squared minus 2y, again leave a space, equals 551. To complete the square, we're going to half and square. We're going to add 9 here, but we added 36 times 9, which is 324, so let's add that to the other side. The second set of parentheses, we're adding 1, half it squared, add 1, so let's add a 25 times 1 to the other side. Next step, let's go ahead and factor that. Bring down the 36. This factors into x plus 3 times itself. Bring down the 25. This factors into y minus 1 times itself. Equals, add the right side together, and you get 900. So now, since this is an ellipse, let's take every term and divide them all by 900 to get it in standard form. 36 and 900 reduces to a 1 and a 25. 25 and 900 therefore reduces to a 1 and a 36, and this reduces to just a 1. So my ellipse is going to be x plus 3 squared over 25 plus y minus 1 squared over 36 is equal to 1. So therefore, there's your ellipse. Let's go ahead and graph it. The center has been shifted left 3, up 1. So therefore, there's your center at negative 3, 1. Your a value, since a squared is right here is 25, that means your a value is 5, and your b value is actually right here. Actually, I've got these flip-flopped. Your a value is the larger value. It's right here, which is 6. Your b value is smaller, which is 5. So therefore, this will be a vertical ellipse. The larger number is under the y. So since the larger number is under the y, we're going to go in the y direction, up 6 and down 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the up direction, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down. We're going to go left and right 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Since these numbers are so close to being the same, this is nearly a circle. The eccentricity on this thing would be really close to 0. So now let's just connect our dots on our ellipse and we'll be finished. And there it is. And you can see how much like a circle that thing looks.